So, okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is The Downside. I'm here with my co-host, Russell Daniels. How
Yeah.
you feeling?
I'm okay. I'm still sick, but I'm okay.
Yeah. Okay. He COVID tested. You
Yeah.
got to start with it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
I've COVID
sick,
tested
not
multiple
COVID.
times. I'm sick, not
Sick,
COVID.
not COVID.
Yeah.
But it's been a while. He's fine.
Yeah.
We don't really know. I feel fine still. I am here. Normally I babble and on, but I got to get out of the way. I'm here with an old college classmate of mine. This goes to say a lot about maybe me, friendship, life. You're the first person from my college in my grade to do the podcast.
Which is huge for me because not only I do feel very kindred spirit with you for many reasons, obviously, but did you tell the listeners that there was literally only like 12 of us? Like there was it was a deeply, disturbingly at times intimate experience.
We started at 20, I believe.
Started at 20.
And there was one woman who left after a week.
After, I think, 3 days. Yeah.
3 days. Like the acting teacher, Bruce Miller, great teacher.
Shout out.
He was kind of meaner in the beginning. I wish he was mean the whole time. I loved mean Bruce Miller.
He was mean.
I love a mean teacher.
The very first day we walk in, do you remember this? The very first thing you ever did? We all walk in, we're all like, I have my notepad out. We're all like scared and excited. It's, first day of acting school. He walks in, there's a chair sitting in the middle of the room, and he just walks right up to the chair and throws it across the room, like launches it. And he was like, I'm going to teach you about commitment.
Oh my God.
But it was the sleigh. It was fierce. And then he was like, a lot of you are going to want to do this.
Come on, it's fun.
It was
but
fun.
don't you? No, it's fun for when you're that age. But don't you wish you could kind of like be like an older person going back to school and having someone do that in a class now that you were attending, and you'd be like, no, thank you. You'd immediately walk out of the room. Like you would immediately be like, grow up.
18, for 18, it was fierce because then he did a tap dance, and he was like, "This is what you guys did in high school, I'm sure."
So he's Mr. G from Summer Heights High. Just wants his own time to perform. Oh, that is.
He literally said I think all he said was like, being conservatory, it's going to be like hard work and a lot of commitment. And this woman was like, "Oh, I think I picked the wrong major. Bye," and
That's
left.
so funny.
And he didn't say anything crazy. He just said, "This is tough."
Yeah.
And now she makes a lot of money, and she's very successful in whatever field she chose.
Yeah.
Do you know that for sure?
No, but I'm sure that wasn't. Is that the woman who became
Kamala Harris, vice president.
That is so funny.
Madam
Kamala?
Madam Horrible? What's her name? Who became like a Lady Gaga type pop star?
No, that was
Madam Horrible is from Wicked.
She became Madam Horrible, the famous pop star. No, her name is Madam Mayhem.
Madam Mayhem.
And she was a really nice girl. Like she wasn't in our conservatory class ever. She
wasn't ever.
She was a BA, yeah. Which for the listeners, it was like very complicated system at school that was like you had to audition to be in the conservatory where there was only 20 of us, and then there were other theater majors, which is how I started, and then I like redshirt freshman into.
So here's what was complicated about Tim, and this is why he wasn't on the Zoom. Was you were at Miami for a year as a BA?
Correct.
And then you were like, you have no excuse. You literally saw it up front and were like, I'm gonna still enroll in this shit. I want to be in voice and speech for 3 years.
Not only did I do that, I was obsessed. I was like, if I don't get in, life's over.
Being a BA, I mean, it could not have felt good to be in that building and be like, you're a second-class citizen.
100%.
Third class even.
Yeah.
100%. It was like working in a restaurant, like you're the busboy.
Yeah.
And then look at these like bartenders like getting laid and like everyone wants them and they make more money than you.
Yeah.
Like it was truly like you wanted it bad. You didn't get any. The conservatory kids literally got like priority casting in the shows.
Yeah.
Like it was everything.
It was talent-based. But so basically it was like we had this. Okay, for like real quick, welcome to The Downside. I had a revelation the other day. Like I think we had some, you know what? A comment got under my skin. We got a couple comments being like, "You talk about so much theater," and it's been bubbling around in my head for a degree. And I went to Merrily Roll Along last night. Beautiful show, very emotional. And there were like two, like an usher and then another person who's in a conservatory who recognized me from whatever. And I was like, you know what? I want to talk about theater. I don't want to be worried. If you don't like it, we'll talk about it in a way. This isn't just a theater podcast, but I'm just saying, like, I think I was like, this is my people.
It almost was. You were almost going to base it around theater, remember?
Originally, it was going to be a theater thing. So listen, if you don't dig theater, it's not going to be all theater.
No.
But enough with the comments.
Yeah.
Enough with the comments. we're talking theaters sometimes.
Yeah.
And so last night, and so basically we're adding this onto this last episode. So if you haven't seen it, check it out. Tove and I did a little mini podcast post show that we tagged onto the end. Raul Esparza was there,
Oh shit.
and I talk about him performing a Merrily Roll Along song all the time. I even whispered it to Tove. I was like, "We need to go home and watch that again. We need to see it."
It's so good.
And then she was like, "Oh my God, is that Raul?" And it was crazy. He was there, and I approached him. I kept debating it the whole time. I was like, "Is this annoying? Is this weird?"
Mm-hmm.
And then these two kids came up and like, "I know you from TikTok." I was like, "Can you fucking do that a little bit closer here, so Raul knows that I'm not like crazy?"
Yeah.
Yeah. Make
Like-
it seem so cool.
Not to be arrogant,
That'll impress Raul Esparza. I know you from TikTok.
but I think
No, but at least it's something.
yeah.
You'd be like, "What's TikTok?"
Yeah.
But I did go up, and he was very nice, very theatery, very like you could feel like I said, like, "Oh, your Franklin Shepherd Inc. was so good," and he said, like, "Oh, I had the benefit of being able to talk with Steven every day," and just sincere in that theatery way.
Spielberg. Randomly, he was calling Steven Spielberg. about this film. Wow, that's cool.
Would you have approached? And you know who was behind him? That other guy from Parade, the one that everyone is
Ben
excited.
Platt.
Ben Platt was there. I couldn't give a fucking shit. I said, "You were too old to play him in the movie."
Dear Evan Hansen.
Dear Evan Hansen.
Yeah.
Poor guy. Imagine making a whole movie and
know.
everyone's like, after it's all done, all the posts,
Yeah.
people go, "You're too old."
Also, like having this like live like this role that people loved him in on stage, and being like, getting kind of all this acclaim for it and all this attention, and being like, yeah, that did go well. Okay, let's go to the next level. And then everyone being like, boo, we hate it now. We hate it. Get it off our screen.
That's the interesting thing about this, even about that theater comment, is like the theater world is so much smaller than you think it is.
Mhm.
Yes.
Like the people who love it really love it, which is why you shouldn't stop talking about it, because the people who are listening to this who are like obsessed are obsessed. But like I remember seeing him in that and being like, whoa, he's unbelievable. Like that was one of the best performances I've ever seen. But then you give something to the collective consciousness, like the rest of America or the world or whatever.
And a wig.
And a wig.
A bad wig.
And a bad wig.
Yeah.
And they're like, boo, hiss, we want
Yeah.
the Real Housewives or whatever. We want
Bad
Paris
Wig
Hilton.
is all. I saw this movie once, and it was I did like this very Jewish web series. It was called "Why Israel is Always Right,"
Okay.
and
Timely.
Yeah.
they made a movie, and it was like a it's an absurd movie about like a regular New York City slicker realizing he wanted to connect to his like Hasidic roots and become a full-on Hasid, and at some point, he converts all the way, and he has a beard. They flash forward, he's now one of these. Are you Jewish?
Mm-hmm.
And the beard was so fake. And listen, if it was on stage, it would have been a phenomenal beard.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
in
but
the
it's a
theater,
movie.
and like it's supposed to be very emotional, and you hear people start tittering in the audience.
Oh no.
And there's nothing worse when there's just that audience titter in a movie.
Well,
because you can't stop it, and
it's-
everyone recognizes it. I saw Rent, the movie musical, and I remember the moment Anthony Rapp started singing, and he was in the audience at the screening.
Oh my
No.
god.
You heard titters.
No.
You're like, it doesn't work, and we all can feel it.
Oh my god, no. Also, I feel that way though, even about like very serious movies that use prosthetics, where it sometimes looks great depending on lighting, and then sometimes you'll be watching Maestro in certain light, and you're like, this is so silly that we're supposed to take this serious, and he looks ridiculous. Like, do you know what I mean? And they have those funny voices where they're like, well, sure, sweetheart. Yeah. And you're like, I can take it seriously. And then every once in a while, something happens that takes you out of it.
Someone on Twitter, it was a scene with Sarah Silverman and the woman, and
Sarah
they said
Silverman
this feels like
was terrible in that movie.
Is she really?
I felt like she was terrible in that movie. I didn't watch the whole thing yet. I've watched about half of it, but I just couldn't get into it. I just was like, it sounds like a sketch character. It sounded like a joke. You know what I mean?
It takes so much courage to. I hope I get some acting roles where I get to kind of play myself, but to go on a movie everyone's going to see.
No, I know.
and kind of talk like a little bit of a character.
Guess
No.
who's coming to dinner?
Yeah, I
Is that
know.
what
and
it
maybe
is?
that's
Like-
maybe it's because you're
She's
also
just like
used to her.
darling, like
Maybe
very.
I think it's
Yeah.
also you can't help but bring in who she is into it. So you're like,
Sure.
you've heard her be sarcastic about so many things.
You think they
So
should have
then-
had a prosthetic nose?
No,
on there
no.
to
So,
take you
but
out a
hearing
little.
her do like a genuine take at like this like very like kind of like charactery thing. It just felt like it was hard for me to take seriously. Maybe it's not bad. Maybe it's just I'm taking too much of her into it. You know.
So, I mean, it's so for people listening, enjoy the show. Tim and I, we go way back. Let's start with this. Let's start with a little, why weren't we better friends? Because looking at our lives, we took very similar trajectories. We both like musicals.
Yeah.
We're both gay. We both...
I lean over the table and start making out with you.
But we're that mix of like, can appreciate musical theater, but also have a cynical, mean edge that I think led us to do comedy to a degree.
100%.
We're both doing, we're not doing the exact same comedy thing, but we're both touring.
Yeah.
Can I guess, even not having been at your college, why you weren't friends?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go for it.
I think you are not someone, you've gotten better as you've gotten older about like opening up to the idea of having friends and being like more of a friend. But I could see you being younger, being so focused on school and like doing so well and getting the things and closing yourself off from having more genuine connections. And also maybe you're pretty competitive. So I could see you being like anyone that you could be like considered.
Okay, what about Tim's flaws?
I don't have any.
I don't know, Tim. I'm just saying. I'm not saying.
No,
I'm
no,
saying
I know
you've
what
gotten
you
better,
mean.
but I'm saying like I don't think of you as like a especially before, even in the 7 or 8 years I've known you. I feel like you have so many more friends now.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Oh, totally. I wasn't going out, but like I feel like we were friendly like in the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had I think we had like. There was someone who was like a friend of mine, sort of, but closer to you. It was all complicated.
It was very complicated, and I know you well enough that I feel like we can get so deep about it, and like you can cut whatever of this that you don't want in.
No,
yeah,
we want
I
all of
think,
it.
I think to
But if he was like, you called me a slur, and I was like, oh my god,
nothing like that. I just think it was we were very young. And not the best versions of either of ourselves.
Sure.
I think I had a tendency to be a little bit of a mean girl. Mm-hmm. And like, I was trying really hard. I was also, I know it sounds crazy, but I was 1 year older than you and the rest of our class.
That's a huge thing.
I had been there for a year and I felt so different from you guys. Like, I really felt like I was like, I'd already made my friends freshman year. And so there was that element of it.
Yeah.
But I think there was also that element of like, I was like a not cool, super gay kid in elementary and middle school. And I used college to like try to be one of the popular kids. So that's like, I'll totally hold myself accountable for that. I think I wasn't the best version of myself. And if I could go back and do it all over, I would have like reached out to you more. And we did do
You could go back and do it all over. You'd stay at the University of Miami for musical theater.
Absolutely.
If I could go back,
I would spend every cent all over again. It all worked out amazing for me. I got to do senior showcase. I got 1 million agents and managers from it. No, I was famously cut from senior showcase.
Wait, so you were so for people listening who do go into college for the arts, a lot of this is going to be like my problems with college. I don't know how you feel in retrospect. I have so many. So someone recently at the Comedy Cellar, they came up and they said, my daughter wants to pursue theater. And I gave my like blunt advice, which was this. It's no theater program is worth 4 years. If you're going to go somewhere 4 years, it needs to be at a place where it's a big conservatory. So you're making a lot of connections, or in a big city that naturally pulls you out of it, and be ready to leave should opportunity come your way. And she was like, she did the thing that people still do. Where she goes, oh, you mean like not get a degree? And I wanted to grab her and be like, it doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter.
Not in this field.
In this,
Not in this
doesn't
field.
matter.
It doesn't matter.
But that's not how you were in college. In college, you were laser focused, like Russell's saying.
Yeah.
Oh, obsessive, I would almost say.
Oh, you can say it.
Okay.
I had my like classic college existential crisis. It was in one of these voice booths where it's super hot. I would practice 2 hours a day, just scales.
Yep.
And I remember plunking, and I had just this moment of like, if I die, I did nothing.
Yeah, that was the vibe. There like wasn't a lot of room to be your friend. Like,
Yeah.
you really like
That booth was very small.
the booth was there was not physical
Very
space,
small.
but I think we still found deep ways to connect. Like through that, like you were one of the first people I ever workshop stand up with. Do you remember that? We went
yeah.
to like a Denny's or something, or like an offshoot of that in Miami, just the two of us, and it was like one of the rare moments where we weren't. And I also was pretty obsessive about it, like about, we wanted to be successful actors at the time. And we were like chatting to each other about how we both had these joke writing books that we took around everywhere.
Yeah.
And we were like, let's go to a diner and we'll tell each other our jokes. And we did. And that was like a huge spark for me. And then like toward the middle of junior year, one of our classmates who will remain nameless was that we were like sitting around outside on these chairs, and he or she said, I don't think you can be a stand-up. I think only one of us, of the 12 of us, will be, and it's going to be Gianmarco.
What?
And I remember being like,
And Gianmarco was like,
boosh. We like, what? You weren't there. You don't know about
boosh
this.
because I came.
You're
Yeah.
boosh. You were not there. They said this like without you present. I just remember being like, whoa. So like everything in life's a competition, even that. And like it like really messed with my head for a minute, but not anymore, obviously. It's like, but we both really wanted to do it. So I wonder if there was also like an element of like competitiveness that we didn't realize that was there, or
Yeah, you want to be the funny one.
yeah.
You want to be the funny one.
Yeah.
And at least in terms of like funny guys, you, me, and Connor, who I think is deeply funny.
Yes.
Deeply funny.
Yeah.
I think I like not stole like, jokes, but like some essence stuff, some movement stuff. Oh, he was funny.
So fun. Like truly, this guy was literally
What
like,
does he do now?
he's a one of the general manager of like gay bars in Hell's Kitch, but he like literally like on day one walks in, you're like, wow, that person's very attractive, and then had this like bizarre Jim Carrey affectation with
Wow.
everything that he did.
Yeah,
That
you'd
was
love him.
Wow.
yeah, he's great. He was a link between the two of us for sure. Like I think the three of us were kind of in that first year. Like I remember like going to Target with you and buying our first like ballet dance tights together. Yeah.
Oh, the memories.
And to Russell's point, I even just listening to your podcast a lot lately, to like, because I was excited to come on here and like, and seeing all your TikToks and stuff. I just think, I hope I've grown a lot in like a better direction, and I can just like really sense and feel from you that you've grown a lot, and like a lot of that stuff that maybe would be like something that I wouldn't look for in a friend that was going on in college isn't really there anymore, which is like very special and cool to like know somebody for that long.
This is the downside.
1, 2, 3. Downside. You're listening to The Downside.
The Downside.
With Gianmarco Soresi.
Okay, give me 1 second. This is very annoying.
What happened?
Also say something. So that was very sweet. This is the downside, though. We got to get negative. We got to go back to flaws. So I wanted to just mention this couch is small. You're right. Someone said something really snippy on the YouTube that I did want to read. We joked about how we didn't joke. We criticized fully how at like weddings or when people who don't make speeches normally, they should still know how a mic works.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
then
Yeah.
they're like, ladies and you're like,
Yeah.
well, you know that this thing, it has to go in there.
Yeah.
And this person, I thought it was a pretty brutal. They said, this has got to stop. Theater folks not understanding that I get a mic in my face once every decade. You'll have to forgive me for not knowing exactly how they work. I'm not sitting here on my too small couch with a mic once a week.
Oh, your too small couch. But also, commenter, that's fine, but you can hear when you start to pull something away from you, and literally no
Yeah.
one can hear you.
It's not a science to it.
Wake
you dumb
up,
bitch.
right?
Listen,
This is one of our 10 viewers. They're going to say this got to stop assuming we can all hear.
yeah. Oh man, that microphone thing is crazy though. Did I ever tell you the one time I went to a wedding and the guy, everyone went up there. There was a microphone, and it was an outside wedding, and for whatever reason, no one was using it. And we were all in the back. We were like, no one can hear it. No one can hear it. We're like, we can't hear anything. And the microphone's just standing there in a stand. No one's using it. So then this guy in the back with us who was complaining, he is like related. He's going to give a speech. He goes up there. He goes to the mic, grabs it, and he goes, I don't think I need this, do I? And like everyone was like, Everyone was like, no, we all hear you. Ha, ha.
Silence.
Silence. Just starts normal talking after he screamed. I was like, you were back here with us, sir. You saw that none of us could hear. Why not? It just,
Drives me nuts. I went to a $1 million wedding recently, like a friend who's extremely wealthy.
Yeah.
Fireworks at this wedding. Fireworks.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that's how much money was put into this insane wedding.
Yeah.
Couldn't hear a damn thing. It was outside and they had body mics on.
oh my God.
And the sound system just like wasn't working properly. And I was like, why are we here? Like, no one thought to test this? Like, this is crazy.
Everyone always underestimates the sound. They always do.
They always do. And also, on some level, I don't think they want you to hear. Like, it's a really vulnerable place to put yourself in front of all your family and friends.
You're nervous.
And say those things. So I think, and if you're a normal person who doesn't like get up and do that, I think a lot of people are like secretly don't want anyone to hear this. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
So it's ultimately, I guess.
So, lest we focus too much on
This woman's
musical
comment.
theater, this woman's comment, or musical theater college, I do think the one thing that's worth revisiting for people who listen to the Connie Metaxa.
Sure.
Yeah. Connie Metaxa, famous for the moment I released it, calling me 12 times and saying, actually, can we take that part out?
Oh, yeah.
One of the worst days of my entire fucking life.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Oh, yeah. It was the day it came out, too, not before.
Oh, it was after it came out. I checked
was
before.
out. It was
It
out.
was one of those where I checked before, like, this cool? This cool? We said all these things?
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, and then it's out there. And she's
Yeah,
like,
and then it's
take it
out
down.
there. And then
She's
I
like,
look at my
oh,
phone.
yeah.
And, when you see 12 calls from, like, your most recent guest, you're like, fuck.
Oh, yeah.
This is rough. Yeah.
Someone recently, they wrote me this morning to take down a crowdwork clip that they were fine with, but then the comments spooked them, and now I got to go take it
The
down.
audience member,
Mhm.
that is one of my biggest fears.
Like,
Was it a
honestly,
criminal thing?
No, it was just
Okay,
like,
there's that one I was thinking of.
just a weird thing about like they fought with her dad because her dad was a big Trump person and their wife was an immigrant.
And they don't
and the
want-
way that they
yeah.
phrased it, and then he said my dad raised me by himself, so people were like, you're going to ban your dad for disagreeing with you politically, and so all the comments were kind of roasting him, and
Trying to protect.
I deserve. That's the game I play. I'm gonna crowd work. You are getting something from these people, and one of the consequences is sometimes you're gonna get a message, and you're gonna have to be like, okay.
And
Cool.
we're not like having them sign release forms or anything. So it's.
Some of these clubs have a little piece of paper somewhere that say like you may be recorded.
But I'm going to I'm playing in like indie gay spaces, like bars and theaters and, tiny stand up clubs in like St. Pete, Florida, where they're like, not having people sign this stuff. So I'm always worried I'm like, I think it's kind of just sort of like the consent of going to a comedy show in 2024. Now is like, you're like, everyone is doing this. So if you're at the show, but yeah, I don't know.
We're
And
in
if you're
for-
saying anything, do you know what I mean? Like, because it is something to offer up information and to.
Well, sometimes people now,
Yeah.
and this could be kind of how the whole movement kind of curbs a little. Sometimes they'll go, "Are you recording this?" Like when you're crowd working with them.
Oh,
And then you're like, "Well, that's
Interesting.
not fun."
Right.
And recently, someone like revealed that they did a DNA test. They found out their father was not their actual father, but they haven't told him yet. And it's so in the moment, it was so good. I said on stage, "Can I put this on YouTube?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "Sure."
I had a moment like that in DC where I asked the person what they did for a living. Said I teach theater. I'm a teacher for theater, and I was like, "What is the Spring Musical?" And he was like, "Legally Blonde," and I was like, "Okay." The question in everyone's mind: are they good? And the guy was like, "Of course not." And I was like, "You have to let me put that on the internet." But I did this. I was like, "Can I post it?" He was like, "Of course." You couldn't see his face or anything.
Okay, that's good.
But I was like, it's too.
There's 20
good.
productions that could be true of at any given moment in America.
100%. And also, like, 7th graders are hopefully not on my social media. They're not.
Wait, sorry, it was a middle school production?
Yeah, it was like a.
Oh, that's so funny.
Isn't that?
In
Wouldn't
a
that be
certain
so
part
good?
of the country too, so you're like, we know
Right.
we can really narrow it down.
We've talked about the junior productions. They're so funny that they try to make all these productions junior versions
Yeah.
of.
So good.
Are they doing a Hamilton Junior?
I'm sure.
Where like they don't mention the slavery? Oh, that's the original. Nailed him, Lin-Manuel.
That Lynn.
Yeah.
So we did a lot of strange things together in college,
Mm-hmm.
but there was a classic exercise that we did called the gun exercise, and this was before there were as many mass shootings there are today, but after Columbine.
I was just gonna say after
It
Columbine.
was
Yeah,
definitely after Columbine.
yeah.
And the premise of the exercise, we all were characters. I don't know how we figured out these characters.
We were given, so the whole semester we had to come in like every 3 weeks as different characters that were given to us. Like the first month was like blue collar man in his 40s, and then 3
That's
weeks
the one
later
that most of us probably did so poorly,
there was a
so
girl.
offensively.
Yeah.
Me being blue collar, anything.
There
Hey
was a girl-
boys,
Yeah.
let's go work.
You're just like
There was
let's go
this,
to
like-
Walmart.
What they should have done is like the finals was they bring in actual blue collar workers
Yeah,
to watch
to
us
beat the
portray
shit out of
who
you.
they-
That would have been so good. Yeah,
Yeah.
heckle us and beat the shit out of us.
Yeah.
There was like a really sweet blonde girl who like clearly had probably grown up very wealthy, like never met a blue collar man in her life, who just kept going, I brought my refurbished tools. And she just said that over and over and over again. It was like an improv exercise. Like he would ask us questions and be like, so, what is your job? And she'd just go, I just work with my refurbished tools. I still think about it to this day as like one of the funniest. She literally said it like 50 times to like just
Oh
get
my
through
God.
the hour.
I'm trying to think if this is if this particular teacher, who I think will try to avoid saying their name,
Great.
but if whoever this refurbished tools person had big enough tits, I'm sure they got an A+.
That was the vibe.
Yeah,
That was the vibe.
Okay.
That was the vibe. So then that happened the first month, and then the next month was like, and now be like a 60-year-old woman, housewife or whatever. So then he gave us like that for a couple months, and then the last one was he gave us a CD, and it had like disturbing sounds
you remember
on
this.
it. And it was like helicopter noises and like random like harsh piano tones and like explosions.
You're on Broadway right now. Shut the fuck up. Every acting thing that brings up, you're like, ugh, this is
This
so
is this one's actually crazy. This is like
what you listened to it? What was the instruction?
you were to listen to it and then come up with a character based on what you heard.
Okay.
And they were awful sounds. Like one was, I think, was the best hits of LCD Sound System. I mean, it was truly.
The idea was to come in as something a little fucked up, like a little off.
Yeah.
I think that was his. I mean, it wasn't like
What was your character? Do you remember?
I'm not gonna say, but I.
Oh no! It was.
It wasn't something. It wasn't anything like cancelable. It just wasn't something anyone would do in 2024.
Yeah.
What race was it?
White.
Okay, so
So you could probably narrow down like
Yeah.
what I was doing, but
I forget what I was doing.
White with a
yeah,
capital.
what were you?
I don't remember.
It wasn't. My character wasn't racist. I want to be clear on that. That's
worry.
not. That's not what's happening. It was just like, maybe I didn't. It wasn't good.
I've talked about the time that I, as an acting exercise, played the My Left Foot character, Daniel
was-
Day-Lewis. So like,
I'll tell you, it was something similar to that.
sure, your right foot.
It was my right foot.
Yeah.
So then after we worked on this, basically they had two seniors, right? Seniors did it. We were freshmen when this exercise happened.
Yes.
We would be having a class, and we knew this was coming. You didn't know what day it was, I don't think, but the seniors would like kick in the door with fake guns.
That looked real. That looked extremely
Really
real.
Okay.
And like, get on the fucking ground.
And like face paint on, and like they were wearing all black, they were simulating a shooting.
And they were like well cast. They were like they were the dudes of the senior year.
Okay.
They were intimidating.
Yeah.
Certainly as a freshman. And you would basically enact a whole. You would just try to be your character while they did these. Gradually killed each of you one by one. And this is how crazy the teacher is that if you got killed in the first 2 minutes, you were
Got an
expected to
F.
be dead for the rest of the hour 15-minute class.
You had to just
God,
lay
I
there,
would have loved
unmoving.
To have killed in the first.
The first guy that got
but
killed.
One guy got killed, and he fell in a way. I think it was Mike
gotta fall.
I was
Desposito.
just gonna say, yeah.
He fell in a way that was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And he was like, I can't hold this. And so gradually he had to
Wait.
roll over in like a nice little
Have you seen-
fetus position.
Have you seen that episode of Curb where he's at the Civil War reenactment or Revolutionary War
Remind
reenactment,
me.
and he's like gonna do the reenactment, and it just starts, and there's the guns go off, and the guy next to him falls over. He goes, "What are you doing? Get up! You're gonna be down there all day."
That was the vibe.
You're like,
you had to literally just lay
Your
there.
grade, not just like for your actual grade that was on
Now,
a piece of
okay,
paper.
are
and
they
I
coming
think
in?
you
Are they
didn't get a
doing?
good
Are they
grade.
saying like this is our hostage, and if you don't do something such, we're gonna shoot them in the head.
100%. It was the whole goal of the exercise was like, I don't know, can you adapt to what these people want? Like, can you reach your goal in this improv exercise of like, can you impress these two people so that you were the sole survivor? You were the last one standing, and that person got an A+. And then I think the people who got eliminated early got bad grades.
it didn't make sense.
It didn't make
It's
any
all
sense.
up to these other
Yeah.
like they could come in and be like, you could be the first one they see and they could shoot you right away, right? Like
And the year before us, they made our friend Kate put a condom on the gun with her mouth.
no.
It was
Yes.
so messed up.
Yes.
Like the whole thing is like, I
That
cannot believe it
is
happened.
So insane.
If it like it there
Schools
if it were
would be
still,
shut down. Florida would shut down.
Even
If
Florida
if
would
someone
shut down.
found out that was
Even
happening
Florida.
right now.
I mean, it could be shut down retroactively from this
podcast. I was thinking like a
Wow.
New York Times
Yeah.
article could come out about it.
Oh
Was
my God.
that crazy. Like it was we're not going to say the person's name, but it was a
can't-
little
I gotta
sexual
mention-
harassy,
Yeah.
and it was
Oh.
a little.
Wait, hold up. If we're saying
It was
put a,
traumatic.
put a condom on a fake gun with your mouth or you won't get an A, I would say that's full sexual.
You gotta
harassment.
imagine though that this can't be happening still to this.
No, it was canceled.
Oh.
Like a few years after us, they stopped doing it because I think people were like, "What's going on here?"
Yeah.
That's such a problem where, like, again, I go backward. Like, there's certain things about crazy acting schools that I like, and I like weird exercises. And then the problem, as if per the human history, is you start out with something artistic, and before you know it, some guys like put a
It becomes a Stanford.
on
It just
this-
becomes a
put a
Stanford
condom on this
prison
gun.
experiment.
Yeah, or it's just like
yeah.
it's just like guys will do. Well, James Franco is teaching an acting studio.
Yeah.
Before you know it, he has Sex 301 class where you have to suck his dick for an A+, and you go,
Oh my
damn it.
God.
Literally,
You-
yeah.
It's just it's just the problem with like acting and
Trying to qualify it as like something you can pay for to get like it just it's art. So it's
but I like
you-
a weird exercise. I like a weird. You're an animal and you have to go in the woods and it's stupid.
I know you
back,
do.
but it's cool.
I know you like
We both did.
I did not like that stuff. I'm very like I did not like now you're cold and now you're
Now you're hot, and now
I
you're
hate
sinking in
that
cement.
shit.
Yeah, yeah.
But I liked improv. I wanted to just like, but so that part of it I did like.
Okay, do you guys remember on that day? Who died first, and how did you each die? Like what?
I didn't die. I won.
Wow.
I won co-won with this girl named Jessica who played a 4-year-old girl who was like disturbed, and my character also was like an underdog type of thing. So I think that was a big part of like you had to try to survive. You had to like try to like do whatever they said, and they rolled a sucker on the ground, and we both picked it, and they were like lick the sucker. And we both picked up the sucker and we both licked it. And that was how they decided that, like, this is so crazy.
my
But that is
God.
what happened.
Wow.
When did you die?
I don't understand why you guys had to be fucked up characters, because you're already bringing in
yeah.
the fucked up people.
We could have just been ourselves.
You could have just been yourselves, or you could
That's
have.
the only part of this you're not understanding?
No, I just like I don't understand why.
Everything
these-
else about this makes
Yeah,
full sense.
um,
How did you die? Well, like,
it was like early and like annoying, and I was so upset that I didn't get to do the thing.
Yeah.
Like I just died early because they did Duck Duck Goose, and I didn't.
Did you get
do
a
it
bad
right.
grade because of that? Do you remember?
I probably got like a C+ or whatever. I mean,
That's
I
bad.
don't think
That's
I
bad.
particularly
That's a bad
cared.
grade.
That's bad.
I was kind of over grade. I understood that these grades didn't matter,
Whoa, 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 whoa.
but the funniest one is Leah was playing Heath's mom, and you know Heath
oh
Saunders?
yeah.
And I guess Heath was there were a lot of disabilities, I gotta say, but I think Heath like couldn't hear, and his mom could do sign language.
Yes.
Oh my.
I remember this
God.
vividly.
And so They shot her in the head, and she had the wherewithal that as she fell to the floor, she signed language, I love
I
you.
love you. I will never forget that. I can see that. I can see that in my mind's eye.
I could see it 100%. Thank God I died in the right way to see that moment because it was an Oscar-winning scene.
After getting shot in the head, she still had the time.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
I believe when Mike got shot, but I don't know if this is true or not. But in my head, I remember that he was the first one gone, and it was in the first 5 minutes. So he knew he had to lay there for 55 minutes. I think he went, "This is so stupid," as he fell to the ground.
I would pay $1,000 for that tape. He did another exercise where he wanted us to practice moving in slow motion. And Rob and I, we slow motioned to the exit of the building, went and got lunch.
Stop
regular
it
speed,
right
and then
now.
came back and slow motioned back in. And I remember, and this is like, Rob and I both had that thing in us. The same thing that we was, a cynic's mind. And we came back and I remember Heath was like, I think you really missed out on the lesson of that one.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if it was
Yeah.
Heath.
Meanwhile,
But it was
we
someone.
were laying down on the ground while he was watching The Sopranos on DVD in his office.
Was he watching The Sopranos?
He was always like watching. There were days that were like, all right, it was like whatever you call that where you're trying to like straighten your spine or whatever.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I have scoliosis, so I was like, honey, ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
This spine's not gonna get straight. So we would lay on the ground for 45 minutes doing nothing, maybe to prepare us for that exercise. And he would leave the room. And most people would fall asleep, but I'm so anxious. I would just lay there being like, oh my God, there's so much voice and speech and math homework I have to do.
We had a movement teacher, same thing. He would give an assignment and then he would just be gone. And you would like have the whole like time to like come up with the project, and he would just be gone. And I'll never forget one time he gave a thing and it was use the building like in an interesting way and choreograph a fight scene, and find a unique way to like do. So me and my partner, we found a wall that had a crack in it. And we were like, ooh, let's start the fight here. And it goes out into this thing. And they kind of have to follow to watch it. And then I'll throw you against this wall. And people will not have been seeing it really until we draw focus to it. When I throw you into it, then you'll fall down. They'll see the crack. And it'll be like, whoa.
Yeah.
So we do this whole thing. Planned it all. Do it. And then he gets to the end of it and goes, okay, gentlemen, not cool that you broke the wall. And we were like, no, you fucking idiot. Like, we literally said, use the building, find an interesting way to, like, we were like, and like, if you had done anything or been around, but just would check out, just would leave and then come back. And you're
One of the coolest, there was an acting class we did once where I believe Logan slapped Connor, for people listening.
I remember
look these
this.
people up. And at the end of the scene, Bruce Miller was furious. He was like, you cannot actually slap people, and they had staged it, and they were like, "No, look, it's
staged."
And it was the coolest.
He like fell out,
It
and
was
you
the
could not get this man. Like he was,
Yeah.
we compared to Mr. G at the beginning, but that's really not true. He was really like kind of godly. Like he really was. Like he was
grumpy,
but
grumpy.
like important. Like,
Yeah.
and we all respected him. He was like not the man doing the gun day thing. Like he was actually teaching us like really like tangible stuff.
And the reason that I like this kind of teacher is, as anyone can see from everything we've been saying, a lot of art is bullshit. A lot of this is you have to want to make something good, even in absurd circumstances. For this gun exercise, if you're going to get anything out of it, it's that you're trying to act or be interesting or take it in. That's all you can do.
Yeah.
And so when you have a mean teacher or a harsh teacher, that's what you need, because you need someone who's saying like, hey. And Bruce was like, how many times did you work on this? You didn't work on it? What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, why are you wasting everyone's time?
What the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah.
And you need that in the arts, or it's complete bullshit.
And when you're 18, you need structure like that. You need somebody to like give it to you straight. I just unlocked a memory when you said that. So he was scary in that way. Like you didn't want to mess with him really. And he was like the dad. Yeah. And me and our mutual friend were rehearsing a scene together in the like side room or whatever. And the BAs who were not, this wasn't even BAs, they're non-majors. There was like acting for like the political science majors and the business majors who just like wanted to take an elective. So one of the
scum of the earth.
Yeah.
Basic bitches. So the like conservatory acting teacher was teaching them a class, and he overheard us in the next room rehearsing our conservatory class thing for like the goat or who is Sylvia or something. And he comes in and he was like, hey, I'm talking to my non-theater majors right now about commitment and how hard you have to work to do stuff. I overheard you guys doing your scene. Would you come in and just continue doing what you're doing, but can we watch? And we both kind of were like, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. We weren't gonna say no to a teacher. Like, well, we didn't know boundaries. We're like, sure. So we go in and we do our scene. When we're done practicing our scene, they all erupt in applause. As they're erupting in applause, Bruce Miller, the head of acting, walks in the room and says in front of all these people he does not know, what is the matter with you? Is this what you think acting school is? To just walk around, are they just going to applaud you and everything you just did was absolutely perfect? How am I going to teach you now if you're just showing off for these non-majors? Pathetic. And then we walk into his office and we both started sobbing. And we run into his office and we're like, we didn't do that on purpose. We weren't trying to like show off or anything. And we explained to him what happened and he was like, okay. But to this day,
in his mind, he thought you knocked on the class and said, hey,
like,
you guys want to see
like
some real acting?
I guess. I don't know what he yeah, I thought we were like, hey, ever heard of conservatory acting students? That's us. Like, what? To this day, when I see that girl, if we talk about it, we both like shudder because it was so uncomfortable.
Oh man, so many uncomfortable. It was a deeply uncomfortable time acting school.
I don't recommend it.
No,
I think the first 2 years are good.
well, I only did 2 years.
The
so.
second 2, I feel the teacher's running out of things to say. That's when people ask me, would you ever take like an acting class again? Every director I've ever worked with.
Considered brushing the.
When I think about the thing that gives me the shakes is like how much of my college life I spent watching other people do scenes.
Mm-hmm.
I showed up for class and I watched other people do scenes
hours
for
of your,
hours
of your
and
life.
then I had to listen to us reflect on it.
I know.
And listen to my peers who were both here to learn, and I got to listen to their fucking takes.
Imagine who had little to no opinion in the room in my acting class about people's scene work. Anyone have thoughts? Not one.
No.
Not one single thought about any of that.
One of
hell.
One of the funniest, and this was early on, and I hope this isn't mean. There was someone who was like figuring out acting. Like it took a beat, and like certainly struggled like what to do with their arms.
Yeah.
You know, that stuff. And there was a scene where someone gave her a sweater.
Yeah.
She held onto the sweater. And at the end the notes were like, when you were holding onto that sweater, it's like it felt like you knew what to do with your arms in that moment. And it was like the lesson was, well, let's just have you hold on to shit and we don't have to deal with this problem. And I was like, yeah, that's the level of feedback and notes
that an
we had a
18-year-old can give.
We had a guy, he didn't end up finishing the program, but he was very naturally talented. The most successful actor out of our years right now. But it was
Josh
just
Gad? What's more successful than
it
you?
was just this classical theater program though. So it's like we're doing, these old plays and old things, and he's very modern and contemporary, and he gets a lot of work. But I'll never forget, we were doing some Ibsen scene work or something like that. Maybe it was Chekhov. I think it was Ibsen.
He mentions the greatest playwrights of
was-
humanity.
I started throwing
No,
up.
I know.
Like,
It's
tell me about Bravo.
But he had to give like a speech in front of like a huge crowd of people. But he was just delivering it to like in the same spot. So like someone gave a note of like, well, you're delivering a speech to a huge group of people. You need to like find more people to connect with. Like And he's like, okay, so should we set up more chairs in the studio? Like empty chairs. You're like, no, just like pretend there's humans. Like, but that was it was a genuine question, and you're like, wow.
Should we set up more chairs?
Should we set up more chairs?
There was a girl in our class who every time, so they would always ask us for feedback, like Gianmarco said, every time she would raise her hand and go, she was always sitting on the side, like close to the door.
Yeah.
And she would always go, I couldn't really see the whole time. Like,
That's
everyone would be
amazing.
"Claire, you gave the sightline
Yeah.
note every single
Yeah.
time. Maybe change
I
where
can't
you're
really
sitting in the room."
see. That's so funny.
I couldn't really see every time. I'm not kidding.
Oh.
She gave it every.
That's actually like a
single
really
time.
smart thing to like.
I couldn't
I
really
always have
see.
something to say if I never can see.
But she was
You know?
dead serious.
Yeah.
She would be like, "When
I
you
see?
turned that way, this curtain was blocking you."
Claire, move in.
Claire.
Claire.
Claire. Oh, Claire.
God bless.
She didn't make it to the end.
No. Neither did I. I didn't survive.
Was it more a financial thing?
Yes, I did not want to go to make believe school for 5 years of fucking college and pay all of that money.
So, okay, so this was, you made that decision junior year?
Hmm.
Was it hard?
Yeah, it was really hard.
Did you feel at that point like you were of our grade? You didn't feel like an outsider still at that point?
I did and I didn't. Like I did still feel like a lot of my friends were gone. Like I had
Yeah.
older friends who had graduated. Yeah, I did start to feel, I think, more of the fatigue because I had been there longer than you got, a full year longer than all of you
Sure.
in college. So I started to feel the fatigue of like, people raising their hands and saying dumb shit about other people's acting. And I'll never forget the day our friend Connor just pulled out a newspaper during that. Literally just pulled out a newspaper and started reading it when one person in particular was going on and on and on.
Oh
I just
my
remember being like,
God.
I think I've learned all I can learn here. I gotta go. And I was,
Good for you.
22, and I was like, next year I'll be 23. I'll be ancient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to get
I have to go.
to New York. I have to get to Spring Awakening before it's too late.
Oh my God.
Well, I remember when my first manager meetings after graduating, and they said to me, looked at my resume, and they said, you're a little old to have no TV credits. And I was like, I just graduated. I did the system as it was supposed to be done.
Right.
And that's the kind of moments that I wish I could go back. My dream, or I have some fantasy, some version of where like parents either hire me to talk to their high school kids to like talk them out of theater school,
Yeah.
or like or some college like University of Miami invites me to do like a big, talk to the class,
Yeah.
and I make them all quit by the end of it. That's my fantasy.
One by one, they all, oh, Captain, my Captain.
Because I think
And they throw their drama masks out into the garbage.
yes,
Yeah.
they'll always have. They had like an older Shakespearean guy who does did King Lear at the Royal Shakespeare Company. He's had a career,
Yeah.
and he comes in and they say something along the lines of, "Kids, if you can do anything else, do it." And that's the kind of line.
Yeah.
And I imagine me and everyone else there, except maybe Kim, said, "Oh, I need to do this."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
He's not talking to me. I will be
need to do
one of the
this.
2 people to succeed out of
and
this.
to be fair to both of us, we're still in it.
True.
In a capacity.
True.
So we weren't wrong. But I think it's more about laying out what your life is going to look like. Obviously, you can't, when someone's 17 dreaming big dreams, like teach them all about life. But you want to show them that Idina Menzel is this sliver up here,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's quitting, and then there's all these different things in between. And how do you feel about this? Do you want to do? Are you willing to do that kind of children's show tour that you did?
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to do that Bachelorette show? Are you okay going to North Carolina? Are you okay doing a musical that sucks? You just don't see what the full life could be. Are you okay to not have health insurance when you're 27?
Right.
Are you
Yeah.
okay being 35 and still having to leave New York for 6 months? Do you want to go on a cruise? You just don't understand. And that's why insulating yourself in college for 4 years, you don't get to really see it.
Yeah.
We had a girl, she was in the ensemble of Hello Dolly, and she booked So You Think You Can Dance. And they were like,
I was just
"You
gonna say
can't
this."
leave to go do this." And it's
insane.
like, if you understand the real world, you go, you must
Go.
go.
Oh,
You
you
may
must.
never
Every
be on
girl's ever
TV.
dreamed of going with a ball in a beautiful dress. Go.
And that's the kind of toxic, like, and I understand why a conservatory, how do you function as a school if everyone's going to leave? That's also tough.
Sure.
Unfortunately, that's the business you picked.
Yeah.
And I think there were a lot of teachers. There were some teachers I admired, some teachers who were toxic, but I still admire, God willing.
Sure.
And then there's some where they do fit the adage of if you can't do, teach. And not all teachers are that. I would never cast that dispersion on all teachers, but some of them are out there, and some of them are tenured, and I don't know what the fuck you're supposed to do.
It's harder when it's a theater thing too, because it's so clear. And also when you have people giving you advice who have been out of the game for sometimes decades, and you're like, how are you going to give me advice on how to do any of this?
Imagine
right
it's
now?
tenure meeting. They're like, so what do you contribute to this university? I'll show you. Hey, Kate, put a condom on this gun with your mouth. See how she does it right away?
Yeah.
That's acting.
That's acting. Yeah.
Can you imagine if Stanislavski in the third book, like that was the thing?
The third book. Oh my god.
Third book. That sent a chill down my spine.
Oh.
An actor prepares, building a character.
Wait, an actor prepares. Isn't that?
That's number one.
Is that him? I thought that was Uda
Stanislavski.
Hagen.
Ask me.
Uda Hagen.
I don't know.
You know why was Uda
Wait, I thought
fired?
it was Uda Hagen too. An actor.
No, an actor prepares is Stanislavski.
What is Uda Hagen's is like a really famous one. That's like.
Yeah. What is hers?
Can I tell you how many of these I've read?
I had to read them all.
And I know you read all of them. I know we had to. Guess how many I read?
How many?
0.
Zero.
That's crazy.
Ask me if I read any of the UCB
Oh my god.
curriculum when I took UCB.
Did you?
No, sir. No, sir. I think reading is bad, and I don't think anyone should do it.
I love some of those acting books.
I know you did. You were really in on acting.
I was going to the library to watch Sandy Meisner's acting lectures where he had his vocal box removed from smoking.
Oh my
So
god.
he could only speak by essentially burping the words.
Okay, so this is why we weren't as close of friends, because you were doing
Oh.
that. I was sucking dick on South Beach. I was partying. I was that's it, really.
I wish I mean, look, I wish I had partied, and then you're like, well,
Did you ever go to South? So we went to college in Miami, Florida.
Yeah.
Did you ever go to South Beach?
maybe once.
Maybe once.
That's crazy. Can I tell you? I went to. I think I might have told the story on the podcast before, but when I really knew I was in a bad place in music school, I went to a conference in Miami, in the wintertime, and I was in music school. I hated it, and it was like conference every day from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. while we're in Miami in March. Well, we're coming from the cold all the way upstate New York. So I went the first day. I did the conference. I couldn't believe that. I was like, what are we doing here? I hate this. We had to wear suits. We had to go.
Had a conference.
It was a music ed. Like we're getting like lectures about music teaching.
No.
And so then the next day, second day, we're in a group and everyone's like, oh, we all have different things to go to, different places to go to, different conferences. How about we all meet here at 6 p.m. and we can like exchange notes from all the different things we went to. I said, okay. I started walking and I saw the escalator at the convention center and I just kept walking and I walked straight out the door.
Yes.
I went back to the hotel. I got shorts and went to South Beach and just got a 6-pack and drank and sat on the beach. I
I
can't.
like to think that you had no inner monologue that whole time.
No,
You just-
nothing.
silence.
Really,
No
it was
music.
nothing happened. Nothing going on in my brain. And also what I love is that I went in the suit. I was gonna do it, and I need more moments in my life like this where you just are like, no, and you're just like, I just walked and kept walking, and so I went to the.
That's
but
how
then,
people leave their families.
but then,
by the way.
that's-
or like you get there, you find a dead body. White Lotus season 3.
well,
like
and I didn't
we're
know
there.
people could be topless. It was all a surprise. It was all a whole new world. So I'm sitting there.
I'm on
and
the
so-
edge of my seat right now.
So then I was like, but then some part of me was like, you gotta go back and like
No.
So anyways, what's so funny? I went back at 6 p.m., but I didn't put the suit back on. So I went in a t-shirt, so sunburned and drunk, to meet everyone, and everyone was like, "Oh, Russell, hey, what?" And everyone was like confused because also like we're paying for it. It wasn't required. So you're like, in theory, nothing is required.
Yeah.
But and I paid whatever it cost to go to the convention. But they're like, what? And I was like, yeah, I got drunk on the beach and didn't do anything. And I was like, they're like, okay. And then I just didn't go anything else the rest of the 2 days because I was like, I'm not gonna do that. No one wants to do it. Why are we doing it? Why have a conference in Miami if we're not going to take advantage? Why go to
Yeah, why be in
school in
Miami?
Miami, Gianmarco, for 4 years and not go to South Beach?
So let's talk.
In Gianmarco's defense, they did also like the "so you think you can dance" thing. They like tried to drill into us that you had to be so serious about this because
Yeah.
like my first year before you got there, I had a friend that was like a gay frat boy, who would come knock on my dorm room door at 12:45 a.m. and be like, "South Beach is just opening now. I know you were sleeping. We're going out," and we would get in my car and listen to like Amy Spanger, Wedding Singer, Saturday Night in the City, and be like, we are party animals. And we would go to the gay bars, and like, I remember like we both hooked up with different people on the beach, and then like stayed up until like the sun came up, and then got back in my car, got McDonald's breakfast, took us to class, and went to our 8 a.m. class. I just remember being like, I am doing college.
Yeah.
Like, this is what college is. And I'll say I have like more stories from stuff like that than I do from like being a really good student and like watching somebody do Moliere.
Can I?
Oh,
can I-
Moliere.
Can I say I think first of all, I mean I struggle like getting myself to party and be in the moment and enjoy myself. But I've said it before, I think one of the frustrations of being like a straight guy who finds myself more comfortable in queer spaces
Yeah.
and like has more in common with queer people, that the relationship kind of hits a ceiling with nightlife and with like going out and gay
Sure.
clubs. And so there's like a degree of I wasn't going to go to like a frat party per se. Not that there aren't gay people there, but I'm like the people I was close with would go to a gay club, or they would go to a
Right,
space
right.
where like where sex was part of it, and hooking up and hitting on people and flirting and whatnot, and it wasn't like necessarily. So I felt like sometimes I didn't know where to go. I didn't know where my place was because I didn't want to do. There were some plenty of straight guys in the program that say no, it wasn't a great program, and it was like I think that was just always part of it.
That makes a lot of sense. And like, I don't mean this like offensively, but I think like that is a part of a straight guy thing that like gays, when you're like a gay boy, especially, you have such repressed sexuality that like it becomes a huge part of your identity and a huge part of something that you need and want to do, whether people act on it or not. I just think that's mostly true for most gay men.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I think I wanted to be as good of a student as you did, like as good at theater. But there was this chunk of me that was like, you have to go do gay. Like, you have to go be gay. And it like literally is still something I struggle with, where I'm like, you focus on it too much. But that makes a lot of sense that we like couldn't relate on that level. Like, why would you want to go to a gay bar? I was not going out to those gay bars or going to South Beach to party. I wasn't doing drugs. I was barely drinking. I was there for butthole. Like, I was like looking to be gay. So of course, like, why would you want to do that? I mean, I could think of why a person would want to do that, but like, of course you're not gonna do
But like,
that.
just like go to the beach. You know what I mean? Like a nice,
Yeah,
relaxing trip. to the
I'm not.
beach.
I'm not beach guy.
He's not beach guy.
I'm not
He's
beach
not
guy.
beach guy.
Miami was like, I felt so bamboozled in that I showed up. You show up to Miami, it's like a vacation. You're like palm trees, sun. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Pool on campus.
And
Yeah.
there was a teacher who at the time, like, he pulled me aside and he said, the guy who was the lead of On the Town that year, and he said, I want you to be the next leading man here. Like, he sold me a bill of goods.
Wow,
He sold me a bill of goods. And like, looking
Yeah.
back, I don't think he was hitting on me. I do think he thought I was gay, and I do think he thought I would be like part of
His club.
his club.
100%.
And like very much, and again, I have plenty of personality issues too, but like I very much did not end up being part of that club. I didn't want to play the game.
Right.
And this and looking back, I have things where he was Jewish and he would have these like big Passover meals and all this stuff, and I wasn't invited to them. And like all the Jews, even if you weren't close, all the Jews were invited, and then his friends were also invited. And like I look back on that and I'm like, that is fucked up, dude. I came to this college for this motherfucker, and he's not inviting me to the Jewish event.
I was just talking to another Jewish classmate of ours who said the exact same thing that you just said. Yeah, feels
Really?
like felt so slighted by that and like hurt.
That's fucked up, dude.
It's really fucked up. What's so crazy about
If
that
you
though?
have to be a Jew in this world, you should at least get some meals out of it.
Hello. What's so crazy about that though is like, so he did that for you, right? Like he was like, here's this apple that I'll dangle over you. But at the same time, this woman would run around campus in like a red, tight bathing suit and giant jugs. Just
my
like, and she would just slow motion run. It was Pamela Anderson. And she would say, Gianmarco, you could also come to South Beach and have fun. And she would wave her wet hair. And you said,
God.
no,
You said
I want to
no.
be in Hello Dolly. I don't want to go to South Beach with you. So the temptation was there. I mean, there were like, we went to school with some of the hottest
Yeah.
18 to 22-year-old people when we were 18 to 22 years old that you could like.
They were all perfectly 18, right on the dot.
They were exactly.
They were exactly 18.
Nothing problematic.
Yeah.
When I turned 18 and I went there and came out as gay, I lost 45 pounds in like 3 months. It was the pressure of the whole school was crazy.
Yeah.
To be like hot and like party animal. So it is kind of a testament to your character that you were really like, I'm not doing any. But that was all. We were also sort of like in
Also,
a frat
by the
in a
way,
being in
that
theater.
fucking movement teacher cunt told us, don't do any weightlifting your first year here because
I
it will
forgot about that.
interfere with my movement process. So if that motherfucker hadn't said that, maybe I would have done P90X sooner and got a lot more pussy.
Oh my God, true.
He told us that. This guy with no
Sure
plan
did.
said,
And you
"Don't-
listened to it because
don't
we were.
weight
And you
lift."
listened to
And
it.
you were like, oh, fuck up how I sit in a chair on stage.
Yeah.
What a fucking...
Wow.
I just feel, and especially my my two younger siblings, they were in college during COVID, and they got like royally fucked. 2 years of no real tuition, and I feel this rage at colleges, at the whole system, and especially I know there's going to be more theater majors as AI takes everyone's jobs, and people go, "What do I do with my life?" Oh, I become a performer. The teachers are going to get worse. More colleges are going to have musical theater majors, and it's my cause in life.
It's your cause in life.
It's my cause to expose and challenge. And college should be challenged in general, but I can at least speak to challenging it in the arts.
For sure. I think I have a whole series on TikTok of like if theater programs had HR. And one of the things,
Really? I love
one of the
that.
things I reference is a very real thing that happened to us that people are like, oh my God, this is such good heightening. And I'm like, no, this is just something that happened.
What was it?
We won't name the teacher, but it was a teacher that I actually really liked a lot. But the 12 of us, this teacher decided that we weren't getting along well enough with each other, that we needed to meld more as a group, which is also like, just
my
for those of you who aren't in theater, you can all map this onto like any business practice.
Yeah.
You are not a family. You are not
No.
a family. You are colleagues. You are working together,
Yes.
and then you go home to your family where you have that kind of relationship
I
with.
disagree. We're a family, but go ahead.
Oh my God.
No.
I that drives me nuts. You are not
Some
a
of us
family.
don't have families, so we
Yeah,
need to
but
find
you
them in
can't
different
force it.
places.
You can't force that.
That's why you have to find your
That's
family
why
and your
the people- the
friends.
people that are
not in
running
your
things
people
can't
you're
control that.
being paid to work with.
Yeah.
I really believe that.
Can you have
Like,
a friend and make them a podcast host?
No, you can feel.
Russell's not getting paid, I assume.
You can feel things. You just can't control it, and you also can't force everyone to be a part of that.
Exactly.
And you can't and it can't come from the higher up. Higher up can't be like you have to be a family.
Exactly. Chosen family is a very real thing.
Yeah.
Sure.
Very real. But if it's all people that you are working with for money, that you're all making money, that's or in a school setting where you all have to be there for a different reason.
Yes.
That's where I think it gets complicated. So for us, this teacher was like, you guys need to be more of a family. You need to like each other more. And I just remember being like, this is so stupid. Like, I want to make friends outside of this program so I can do stand up one day and have other things to talk about. So we all closed our eyes and she would tap two of us on the shoulder to open your eyes. And then say things like, tap two people on the shoulder who you think are not very talented.
Oh,
Tap someone on the shoulder. One of them was tap someone on the shoulder who you think is negative. And I got tapped on the shoulder. And to this day, I still wonder who of the 11 it was. And I'm like, or tap someone on the shoulder who is not going to make it.
oh my God!
I swear.
So funny. I don't remember that one. The one I thought you were about to bring up, which is not that far, was we all sat down. It was like junior year, so there a lot of beef to discuss. And it was like we went around the room, and everyone got to say like, for you, one thing
Yes.
we
This is
admired
eyes
about
open.
you,
Eyes
and
open,
one
this
thing
one.
that like you needed to work on. And it was like this massive. Like everyone gets to finally say what they want publicly about who's mean.
Nightmare.
And again, another video, I'd pay $1,000 just to know if I was restrained. I know, certainly knowing me, I thought that I was like being thoughtful, but honest. That's probably what I thought.
I don't remember yours. I do remember Connor's to who it was, and it was like it was so traumatic for that person that it still haunts me to this day. It was a crazy thing to ask people to do.
What did he say?
he turned to one of our classmates and said, like, I think you're the least, you came in here the least good at blank. I won't say what it was, but like of the things you study in acting school, it was acting. Like,
Yeah.
I think you were the worst actor in the program. And this person lost their shit, rightfully so, because it was like, just fucked up. But also in Connor's defense, it was like, that's what he was asked to do. And we were 19 years old.
Oh my God.
The whole thing is so wild. Do you
Also,
think...
you're like, what is it? Okay. You got to know, like, I'm sure that the teachers think that there's a reason behind all this. But on some level, it's just a fucked up little game that they get to, like, know and, like, see and play out. I mean, like that teacher who the tapping thing, they saw how everyone thinks about everyone in the room, and you guys never get to know. So you're just playing this paranoid game in your head of being like, who hates me, who blah blah. But they know, and the
You think
fact
she
that
threw in a tap?
the fact that she knows, oh my God, the fact that she knows all that, and you guys all know that she knows, it's a weird power thing. It feels
She
like.
looks around, no one taps you for the negative one, and she's like,
The whole
Yeah.
purpose of this exercise was to let this
Yeah.
little gay cunt know that he's a negative little bitch. Meanwhile, I was very negative, and I still am like working on that. But it doesn't help to have a random. It would help for someone that I know and trust to be like, "Hey, you have a tendency to be really negative. Like, let's talk about it."
Yeah.
Not, anonymous.
Yeah.
I save my anonymous stuff for like ass up, blindfolded, and they're not, honey. They're tapping in a different way. I hope your straight listeners love what I'm bringing to the table today.
There's
What
just
straight
only one of
listeners.
them.
Can we mention that there was a teacher
Oh God.
who was pretending they had something?
No, I'm writing about this, so let's not.
Oh.
You are?
My most recent play is about this. Let's not
Okay.
talk about it.
Okay.
Also, I think it's so messed up. I don't think there is like I'm still navigating the way that we are able to talk about this.
You're
There was
100% certain of it?
no, I'm definitely not.
Okay.
None
that's
of us
what makes
are.
it so.
That's what makes it so weird
fucked up.
and bizarre.
Okay, well,
and
after we
Join the
stop this-
patreon.com/downside for all the new. By the
I
way-
will not to leave everyone on a cliffhanger. It's like a full George Santos situation.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like what was whether or not they were lying about something huge.
Huge.
Is kind of irrelevant because
Yeah.
they were manipulating
liar.
and lying about
Everything.
so many things.
Right. I remember there's even more to it.
Yes.
There's so much to the story.
And
This
sadly,
was
gotta
wild.
say, great teacher.
Sadly, gotta
gotta
agree.
say,
Great
some of the
teacher.
best teachers in
Great
my life
teacher.
have been fucking
Fucked up.
insane. Fucking insane.
I know. I've taught you a lot, and I am insane.
By the way, if you're a fan of the show, please join the Patreon, patreon.com/downside. Bonus episodes, live episodes, my special, The Rats Are In Me. We are getting closer and closer to releasing episodes like right after we record them, and that's only because you guys are supporting us and telling your friends and helping this thing grow. Let's go on to our next segment. This has got to stop.
This has gotta stop.
This has got to stop. Russell, give us a juicy one. Oh, you know what? I have your wife's.
No, I got a good one though.
Okay, but I'm going to play your wife's too. Go for it.
Okay, this guy's not my fucking mailman. My mailman. Okay, something has happened. They've changed mailmen. I used to have a lovely mail woman. She would come. She would deliver packages to the apartment. Okay, something has happened, and it happened at the worst time of the year. It happened during Christmas, where every time they leave a note that says, "Sorry, we rang you." And no one was home. And they're lying. They're lying. They are lying. And then I went to the post office because you have to go and pick it up. And I was picking up a heavy thing. And I was like, well, so we're getting all these notices and we're home. Like I was home and the notice was left. So I don't understand. And they're like, well, maybe. And he was like telling me all the reasons why this could have happened. But I was like, I'm like, it's consistently happening. It's happened like 3 or 4 packages now.
Yeah.
And so then we saw the mailman. And we said, what's going on here? And he said he's filling in for someone else's route and they didn't give him the key to the building. And you're like, well, get the key. Well, I don't understand how this works. This is chaos.
Or get a new sticker that says,
yeah.
I'm new and I don't have the key to this building.
But I'm also like, then how are you delivering like mail, like anything? And so it doesn't make sense that just packages can't get in, but you can get into the mailbox. It doesn't make sense. So then I was like, what's going on? What's the truth? And I don't want to know why the United States Postal Service is lying to me. Okay, we need to speak to be fixed. And I miss my old mailwoman. She was so friendly and so sweet. And she never, she always delivered everything. And packages weren't too crazy big for her or whatnot. And I just don't understand what's happening. And I feel like the United States Postal Service is failing. And I guess that's fine. I guess we don't pay a lot for stamps. But
Are you going to be okay without your 9th disco ball in the living room?
that's not even what I needed. I was like, anyways. So it was just a terrible time a year for them to stop delivering packages and then be cagey about it when you go. And then you go and there's lines so long in the postal, in the post office. Anyways, I'm just frustrated. I just want my mail.
That's brutal.
Yeah.
We have a rare treat.
But what is this?
This
I don't
is
remember this.
Yeah, this was Russell's wife, Nicole, who we mentioned on the podcast a lot. One day she'll be a guest.
She went to the University of Miami too.
Oh, she did? Yeah.
I first saw your stuff from her.
No way.
Yeah.
Was she a theater major?
She wasn't, but
worked
she
the box
worked in the
office,
box
though.
office.
Was she there when we were there?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Nicole Foss.
Yeah.
Wait, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Remember when The Rock saw Hello Dolly? I mean,
I talk about it every day.
Wait, were you in Hello Dolly too?
I wasn't cast in Hello
Oh.
Dolly.
here's what I do want to say. My biggest thing with especially if you go to art school, here's what you need to remember. First of all, kick up a storm. If something feels unfair, fucking fight it. What you forget when you're in college, you are paying an insane amount of money, and an inflated, absurd amount of money. And so if you are not getting what you want, you go and you fucking fight for it. I think about the academic classes I didn't get because in the lottery I didn't get to go sooner, so I couldn't take the psychology class because it was popular. Well, guess fucking what, college? Then give me my money back for the class. I gave you for Miami what? I had a little scholarship, let's say $36,000, not to take a class I didn't want to take. Go make a new class. You cannot take my money and then go, well, this is the system and you didn't win the lottery. Then give me the money back and I'll go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And don't take our money and give it to the fucking football team. This is absurd. Hemorrhaging, loading money into that football program. And literally we would be like, oh, but you can't get wigs for Hello Dolly. Literally, what? This is, I understand that makes money for the school, but if you're going to charge us that much money, also, if you're listening to this, don't go to college in America. Just
don't go to college
Let me
in
just say
America.
this too, and this is going to be this is almost antithetical to Here's the thing. Okay, let's say you get into the college and you're not a good actor. Let's say you get into college, you're not a good singer or a conservatory program. Well, guess what? They picked you. So if they let you in and they decide you're not a good actor and they're not going to give you any decent parts in the shows, that's on fucking them. They either should train you to be good enough to get a big part in those shows, or they should let you go or have not let you in the first place. My point being this: if you are a junior or senior and you get in the ensemble of a musical, leave the program. You do not have to do pay $50,000 a year so you can go be in the ensemble of Rent as Maureen's dad. You should leave, Gianmarco, because first of all, you are
did
good.
you play Maureen's dad?
First of all, yes. First of all, you are good and there's places for you, but in a world, you're in an acting company or you audition for something, yeah, you might have to take
Wow.
you might have to take your lumps. You might have to play a part you don't want to do, support the thing. The difference is you are paying money this time, and that means you are not in service of them, they are in service of you. I think if you're going to run a fair conservatory program and you believe in all the people you let in, because why would you let them in if you didn't think they were talented? You should be able to have your ensemble this one, lead this one. You create a program because, again, the difference is they are paying you. You are paying them. That is one of my, again, you have to do ensemble sometimes. And I think freshmen should be the ensemble.
Sure.
And again, in real life, you sometimes are going to be the ensemble or you won't get the part. The difference is you are paying.
I can't believe you didn't get Mark. That's crazy, man.
We both
December
didn't get
24th, 9 p.m.
Okay, now
That's
I
our
can't
worst.
believe it.
Shut the fuck
Can I
up.
ask you a rude question about that, about being the ensemble?
Sure.
A funny but rude question. When Gianmarco and I were in the ensemble,
Were you in this ensemble?
when Gianmarco and I were in the ensemble of Guys and Dolls at the University of Miami,
Yeah.
and during Luck Be a Lady, he stood right next to me the whole time, and he never sang.
Gianmarco.
He would lip sync
Yeah.
the whole time, and I would always be like, I think I confronted you about it one time, and I'd be like, hey man, busting my ass out there. We keep getting these notes that we're not loud enough. More girth, more
Why
manliness.
would you not sing?
How come you're lip syncing? And I believe what you said to me was, I'm saving my voice.
For what? For what? This is
So-
the moment.
So
This
I,
is the
I,
moment.
I don't. I faintly can remember it, but like, I think honestly, this should have been the beginning. Like, this articulates why both of us didn't get along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because first of all, you were like, I'm busting my chops out there doing Luck Be a Lady tonight. Pull your load. And I think I was so precious. I probably my voice was either going or I had my Zoom voice teacher back home.
That's what it was.
And they
Luck
probably
be
gave
a
us
lady
notes where they wanted it to be
tonight.
straight tone. And I was like, well, my teacher says blah, 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 blah. But
Yeah.
the bottom line is I struggled with singing stuff. And so I was overly precious and it was stupid. But
that's one of my
That's awful.
funniest memories. Isn't that awful?
Yeah.
It's so funny that you were just I think describes you to a T of
because I said,
how different
I'm
you were.
paying money here. I don't have to sing
Yeah.
a goddamn lick if I don't
It's
want
funny
to.
when someone calls you out in the ensemble, though, because I was just doing this workshop of this new musical, and we had to memorize. It was a 3-week workshop, and I was at Gutenberg at night, and I didn't know we were gonna have to memorize as much as we had to memorize, and so the finale, they kind of sprung us the finale all had to be memorized. It's this big thing, everyone's singing different things, and I, for the most part, had to memorize, but there was the one set of lyrics that kept repeating, and there was 4 kind of refrains that were repeated, and the third one, every time we got to, I was like, I will never remember what this is. But I would scream sing 1, 2, and 4. So I'd be like, no, and then I get to that third one, I'd be like, and so we're doing it, and this girl in the ensemble was laughing at the end of it, the dress rehearsal. And she goes, you don't know the lyrics at all. And you were singing so loud the rest of the song, and you fully don't know that one part. And I go, no, I don't. And she's like, are you going to learn it for tomorrow? And I go, I really don't think I will. But I had to pull back just being normal, because it's just a funny thing that happens in ensembles. But everyone knows if you're faking it in an ensemble.
It would be
Well,
funny
the funniest thing about ours is that it was theater in the round. So Gianmarco was standing next to
Oh.
audience members who so there'd be 55-year-old women who'd pay to see this. So I have to
at
wonder if they were he'd be and I'm like, are they sitting there being like, that boy's not making any sound?
Nah, he's not making one
Can he
little
not
noise.
sing?
Yeah.
What's happening here?
Oh,
and you were
man.
and we'd have to turn to each other at some points, and you'd be 110% in, and the acting would be,
I'm just like, that's so
and
funny.
I'm like, what is
I am
going
saving
on
my
here?
voice.
Which I think is why it's awesome that we do stand up now, because you can't be precious in stand up. I think that's all it was, is you were being precious about your voice. You were like, I can't blow it. They're asking me to scream and I don't want to, or whatever. They're asking me
Yeah.
to project more than I want to. But in stand up, it's so funny. Even hopping back into the theater world a little bit now, I'm like, people are warming up. I'm doing a show right now and people are physically warming up and people shout things out in our show,
Yeah.
which in stand up, fucking of course, that happens all the time. And these actors are a little bit, it's just funny seeing how they're like, oh my God, that person wouldn't stop talking. And I'm like, well, in stand up, someone might literally throw a piece of bread at your head. You just have to figure it out.
Yeah.
We did every show in the round. Awful to do shows in the round. The choreography is just, and now you walk this quarter. And
Yeah.
you have to motivate each walk. Why would your character walk 20 feet for this next sentence?
Yeah.
Any other disasters that happened at shows that you did? And other than me being in the ensemble.
One of the guys who's now a pretty successful actor in that same show, Guys and Dolls, we were in the round, so we were running across the circular stage, and didn't tell us that they had added an archway in one of them, and he had one where he ran and kind of jumped off, and he got clotheslined by it,
my
fully, just his
God.
head went flat. That was bad. One time, Joshua Henry, who is now a
We
very
did a podcast episode with him.
oh my God, incredible. His counterpart was this also unbelievable actress. Andrea Pettigrove was her name, and Josh is on stage doing The Music Man, and she was in the bathroom taking a dump, and she was the girl, Marion Peru.
Yeah.
She's his counterpart, the other lead, and the head of our program had to go run into the girls' dressing room and pull her off the toilet because Josh was just standing around on the stage going Oh, wow.
Oh, no.
Music.
Oh my God.
I got to get these kids to learn the music.
I had a friend who was playing Romeo, and he missed the morning after scene. Fully missed it. He was in a different building. It was like an outdoor theater thing.
It was a big shit. He was like, I gotta get out of here.
The lights came up, and Juliet in bed, and just like sat there for like 30 seconds, just her in bed, like.
She should have acted like he was getting her out.
And then he came running from another building though, and like totally fucked it up, forgot, and they just like he missed it, and they just lights down. So they just had the lights come up on Juliet, like just like in bed, like
like when we did Hamlet, you were not in Hamlet with me.
No, I wish that was a cool production.
It was really super fun. I was Horatio, and so I'm just standing watching everything, not doing the sword fighting, whatever. Two straight boys doing the sword fighting. Again, the tittering in the audience. High school boys in the back of the auditorium in the audience laughing at the stage fighting, thinking maybe it didn't look real or whatever.
Oh my God.
So the boys get, a little bit toxically frustrated by this, and they start doing the sword fight at like triple the speed, trying to make it look more real. And they're sword. One of the swords goes flying into the audience, hits a woman in the chest, like hard. The guy,
An old woman.
a blind woman. Can you imagine? You go to the theater to hear theater.
you go to the theater to hear.
To the theater because she can't see, so that she's going to hear. And Shakespeare, perfect thing to go to if you're can't see. Like you're gonna hear it beautifully. It's beautiful language. She's enjoying the show, probably knowing like this is the sword fighting thing that's happening right now. And then out of nowhere, something just hits you in the giant heavy sword hit her in the chest. Afterwards, she was so sweet about it. They had to apologize to her, of course.
Yeah. Every time she's at dinner, someone like clicks their silverware together. She's like,
can you imagine?
Oh my God.
And then the guy next to her had to just like literally lift the sword
and
up
hand it back and be like, continue your fight.
He threw it. he just like launched it on the stage, and the audience lost their mind laughing.
Oh my!
And then everybody dies. Like then everyone gets stabbed.
Oh.
You know what part of the problem is? You know who taught the some of the stage combat? That same movement teacher who did the fucking gun show.
The gun show.
The gun show.
Okay, so
because I have a 2 o'clock. So let's.
Do you have this? Got to stop.
If you have a dog, you need to train your dog. This has got to stop. If you are inviting me over to your house and this dog is jumping on me and it's barking at me and it pees a little on my leg, if this dog's trying to bite me, this has got to stop. I had a dog growing up. I loved my dog. We were forced to like work really hard to train this dog. So I have no empathy for it. I have if you own a dog, you got to train it.
Your response.
I agree. Yeah.
You have a dog?
I always get scared.
Multiple dogs.
Russell's just a doggy boy, so every time someone talks about dogs.
No, I have a dog.
love
I have a
dogs.
dog.
You owe it to the dog.
We had a guest who complained about dog poop, and I mean, Russell will murder this man outside.
That guy. No, it was more than dog poop. That guy just had the worst energy of a person I've ever met in my life. Anyways,
someone did leave dog poop on my front stoop in LA when I went away on vacation for a week. They just started.
Oh my God.
Like,
that's horrible.
I think not to fuck with us, but just they were like a neighbor that was like, oh, they're clearly away. I'll pick it up tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then I just came home to like a pile of dog poop bags on my thing. But it does drive me crazy because I love dogs and we're so diligent with our dog, and he was like so good. And then I went to my mother-in-law's house for Christmas, and this dog was trying to kill us, like trying to bite us. And she was like, just give it 20 treats.
Yeah.
Like right off the bat, like 20. So we did. And then of course the dog forgets 10 seconds later.
Yeah.
You have to like give the treat with a command.
Yeah.
That's literally whenever my dad started dating a new woman, he would buy toys for her to give to me. And it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Thing.
Yeah.
He can be a little bitchy, but give him a Power Ranger and he'll like you.
Did you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so it works with humans. That doesn't work with dogs.
Yeah. Also, when people have smaller dogs, they can get away with it. They can like be like, oh, it'll just jump up and it'll just nip and blah blah blah. Because we're ultimately like, if we had to, we could just like hit it really hard and like protect ourselves. But it is like annoying, and you're like, no, like because our dog, we have one dog. One dog is very chill, and the other does bark when people come in.
Barking's fine,
but
no biting.
he settles down now.
I think a horny dog is funny. A little horny dog that just is humping everything.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's amusing to me.
Yeah, yeah.
That's different. But if you're like, if you invite me over for dinner and a movie, and we're like watching a movie at your place, and the whole time we're watching Mean Girls or whatever, the dog is trying to eat my food and jumping on
Oh
me.
yeah, no.
Figure something out.
No, because for our one too, like if we're gonna have like lots of people coming in and out, and well, he's going in that crate that day. You know what I mean? Like
That's what has to happen.
like, yeah.
I went and hooked up with a guy years ago,
Yeah.
and the dog wouldn't stop jumping in bed with us.
yeah,
And I was like, you need to put the dog in another room.
yeah.
And he was like, no, the dog will be sad if it's in another room. And I was like, I'm going to be here
It's like a weird
12
threesome.
more minutes.
You know?
I don't want this dog involved in our 12-minute lovemaking.
Yeah.
And it literally was like a ridiculous comedy of errors. So the dog, we'd be hooking up, the dog would jump on us. He would stop. He would yell at the dog. Again, commands the dog doesn't understand. Stop doing that. You're a
Yeah.
brat. Teach the dog commands.
Yeah.
Sit.
Yeah.
Down. No.
Yeah. Stay.
It's easy.
Are your dogs in the room when you and Nicole are?
Well, yeah, with the crates in there.
Oh,
Yeah. Well, one stays out in the living room, and then we have a crate for one.
one's into it.
he's near it. I don't know how into it is.
He
we have a
watches.
flap.
He watches, doesn't
close,
he? Be honest.
Close the flap.
Does he watch?
No. I mean,
love-
we've never made eye
Is
contact
that your
during
ritual
it.
where you look at Nicole and you're like, close the flap?
No, we close the flap every night. But it's funny.
All right, our final segment.
You better count your blessings.
This is not my full blessing, but I am wearing. This is what Russell got Tova, and Tova and I share sweaters, and it is the Miami Boys Choir.
Yeah.
And my blessing, it's I sing Merrily We Roll Along. I just have. I don't stay in touch with most people from our college. I mean, this is the first time we've seen each other in so long. It's hard, man. It's. I feel so many feelings, and it's not everybody. It's not everybody, but there's like 6 people where it's like, oh, it's. I love them. I love them, and it's. There's so much history. I always say it was really tough, like when Leah and I broke up. I said like one of the tough things was we were spent so much of that chunk of our life together that suddenly I lost also the ability to like reflect over like 5 years of my life.
Oof.
And it was just so mixed. I mean, this is what happens when you have relationships where you spend that much time together, you do everything together.
Yeah.
But it was just like I don't know. It's just appreciating that even though I feel so much like weird nostalgia and pain mixed in with it, that it like there was something so beautiful about some of the stuff we got to do together, even that fucked up gun show thing, or just it's more like the fact that we got to talk about that gun show thing. And so
No, that's any kind of like theater school thing that you all go through, that group of people. It's such a weird mix of things you talk about. Like you're like so much of it later on in your life, that's fucked up, and then but so much of it is so funny, and so like you've only the people in that room had that experience with you, and it is like a weird. Like,
and you watch
trauma
people,
bonding kind of.
watch people get better. You watch people like find out what they're good at.
Yeah.
And I'm certainly envious of people who are able to somehow like stay connected and whatnot. But I don't know. It's like it's silly that we haven't seen each other,
I agree.
and it's just kind of how it goes. But I was saying that like I was in Chicago and an old classmate, his parents came, and I was in Dubuque, Iowa, and Connor's parents came, and there's this surrealness of like I know his parents.
Yeah.
I know his parents. And they
Yeah.
knew me when I was 19, and they saw me do a show, and they
Yeah.
took me out to a dinner once.
Yeah.
And like now they're coming to this thing, and
I did a show in Philly where a girl that I took one class with junior year, an elective class, like it was a sociology of mental health class, came and brought 3 friends. And she was like, you were just always so fun in that class. And we would like chat afterwards. And like, that's been the best part about touring stand-up is like, yeah, reconnecting with these people that you're
Yeah.
like, wow, life actually is really beautiful. And you can like make these connections with people, which is also, I think, a big reason why it was important to me to get away from the conservatory, to meet people like that. To like have these other connections, which I think is another part of why we weren't as close. But I appreciate you saying that. I'm grateful to reconnect with you.
And there is a certain degree, not to poo-poo anyone who leaves the industry, but just being like, we're both still doing it.
Really, though.
Yeah.
We're fucking,
Yeah.
we're doing it.
Yeah.
It really,
It
like,
really is every year you're like, because more people leave, and then you're like, oh, we are, it's happening still.
and it's like very special to me that we really did have that day where we read jokes to each other.
Yeah.
And like, now we're doing that.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Top that blessing, bitch.
Well, I was going to say, on the way here, it was a really crowded train. It was so crowded. And I've been sick, so I really wanted a seat. And I was not going to get a seat because it was just so crowded. And like, I can't just, I'm not going to. But then, my blessing, crazy man gets on. He's driving everyone nuts. He's saying things to people. He's going up and tapping ladies' iPads. He's just driving everyone nuts on the train. And he's driving them out, but he's not saying anything to me. And he drives enough people out that I get to see. And I got a seat, and that man was my blessing today. He never bothered me. I had my headphones on and never made eye contact, but he was poking people. He was getting in people's faces, not aggressively, but in a crazy way. And so I'm just thankful for him because he really cleared things out by the time we got to 145th Street, and I got a seat the rest of the way down. So
That's so
thanks,
funny.
crazy man.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Tim, do you have a blessing?
I want to echo what you said. I feel I am very grateful for that. That's what I was gonna say when I came in.
Yeah.
No, I am. When I got this random email, it really like to come on. I was like, oh, that's really so nice. And like it has been. I hope you know we all talk about it. Like we're very inspired by you and excited for
that's
you,
really sweet.
especially with like what's happened on TikTok. Is like it's very impressive and very cool. And I open for Joe Dombrowski sometimes.
Oh yeah.
And he was like telling me like tips and like things that you had said about it that were helpful to him that he then helped me with. And I was like, wow, what a cool circular thing that we're all like, those of us who are still doing it are still able to help each other, even if we're not talking every day. But my real blessing is the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City finale aired last night. And I watch it the next day on Peacock because it becomes available at 6 a.m. on Peacock. So I set my alarm this morning to watch it, and I woke up, like sat up in bed, like, and my boyfriend was like, what? And I was like, it's Christmas morning. It feels like Christmas morning because I got to watch this episode, and I'm not kidding. It is like, it's like what's the best TV show you've ever seen? Like Breaking Bad or Game of Thrones or
You're a Real Housewives boy.
I'm a Real House of New York boy. Old
okay.
school.
But sure, I get what you mean. Succession for me.
Succession.
Succession.
Oh my
This
God,
is-
Succession season.
You know how
2.
you're watching like the end of an amazing season of television? Basically what happened in a nutshell is a new character came on this season, a real person, and the whole season she's the underdog. She doesn't have as much money as the rest of the women, and she's going to be the new hero of the show, basically. She's funny. She's beautiful. She's cool. And then in the very last episode, it is revealed that she has been doing something truly horrible behind the scenes that they are able to prove that comes to light in an instant, and it's unbelievable. It's literally like watching like an amazing play or an amazing movie where like the curtain has been pulled back and you're like, you are not who we thought you were.
Wow.
And it is riveting. Like I literally like got on the train today just like smiling, thinking about how happy I was watching that show. And it really does take me out of everything else going on in life. Like I'm not comparing myself to other comedians or like shitting on myself for my body or like whatever's going on in your brain. Like I don't have enough money. For that 45 minutes that I watched that show, life was perfect.
Wow.
I like that. That's a good ad for Real Housewives. They said they were going to use me for what's Andy Cohen's show where there's like
Watch
a
What Happens Live?
bartender.
Watch What Happens
They
Live.
said like, oh, they're going to have you as that bartender guy once.
That's huge.
And then never happened.
It didn't happen. We'll see if it still happens.
It's gonna happen. We're putting it in the universe for you. 2024.
Do you have to like do people really own it? I've seen Guy Branum do it, and then Sam Morrison.
Yeah.
Sam Morrison.
Not personally, but I'm a fan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Connie and Marla.
Sam. Yeah, of course I know Sam.
Connie and
I was
Marla
thinking
did
the
it
striker.
for Titanic.
What'd they do?
I didn't watch it, but they were up. They were.
Sam wore like a see-through shirt, and I was like, "Was that?"
It doesn't matter. You could.
You gotta
sometimes
dress
they
up.
have-
You gotta look dressy.
But
Okay.
sometimes it's like it used to be. It was all just like hot shirtless guys, and now sometimes they'll have like big fans of the show who are like.
Or you plug something.
Sure.
That's what it is now.
Yeah.
It's like you kind of just go on, and it's like so now they have like drag queens and funny people and like whatever. It used to be like only like hot models, and it'd be like this is the hottest.
I get it,
guy.
Tim. That it used to be
Used to
hot.
be
He used to be hot.
And now
The reason
they've
they're
made-
asking
Very
you
much not hot.
is because they're not doing
Yeah.
that anymore.
All right, this is coming out on January 16th. What do you want to plug, Tim?
I am going to be in Portland, Maine, Austin, Boston, and Las Vegas doing stand up. I'd love for you to come see me.
Amazing. Russell, what do you want to plug?
Come see Gutenberg. You have 12 more days.
Do you think you broke the box office record because of these plugs?
Yeah,
These
definitely.
completely lifeless
Heck yeah.
plugs that
Yeah.
you give at the end of the show.
And then follow me on Instagram, Russell J. Daniels.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Follow me on TikTok and Instagram at TMurray06.
And we'll put it all in the description of the show. I will be in Miami January 18th, Boca Raton January 19th and 20th, and then Naples, Florida January 21st. Weekend after that, I'm at Tacoma Comedy Club 26th and 27th, and then Spokane January 28th. Again, join the Patreon, patreon.com/downside. You're the reason our studio got all these pretty little things in the back, and we are growing, and we appreciate your support. But if you are in college for the arts, listen to me well. If you can do anything else, fucking do it. This is the downside.
1, 2, 3. Downside. Downside. You're listening to The Downside
The downside.
with Gianmarco Soresi.
Tell him, Russell.
Subscribe to The Downside right now.
Where?
Down here. Or here. We don't know, but just do it.
Or also, what else could they do?
They could follow the Patreon. They could subscribe to the Patreon.
I
No! Sorry.
Patreon.com/downside.
Too much pressure.